A year to the day after Jimmy Butler promised to get the Miami Heat over the hump following a tough Game 7 loss to the Celtics in the 2022 Eastern Conference Finals, he made good on his word. While Series MVP Butler at 28, Caleb Martin, who didn't play in last year's Game 7, stole the show with another huge outing for the Heat, scoring 26 points, grabbing 10 rebounds in 45 minutes. Jimmy never lost his confidence.
I just know why Coach Pat and Coach Spo wanted me to be here. And that's to compete at a high level and to win championships. I know that the group that they put around me at all times is going to give me an opportunity to do so. So I was always very, very confident in that.
That type of style never leaves you. I feel like, I knew it was going to come out at some point. It's just, it's just a great feeling that it came out during a Game 7 on the road like this. But it just shows you that, what I'm capable of, and I just want to continue to stay locked in, and I knew how they were going to guard me through this series, and I just want to take advantage of that.
All right, Jimmy spoke it into existence. Happy to see him get the win, and obviously we talked about how incredible Caleb Martin. Stephen A., do you have a problem though with Butler winning MVP?
I don't want to say I have a problem. I'm happy for Butler. Butler's a star. Butler shows up in big moments. Mad love and respect for Jimmy Butler, who I've known for years. Got a lot of love and respect for him. I just thought that Caleb Martin was the MVP of this series. I think that when you consider his 60% shooting from the field, his 48% shooting from three-point range, I thought he was more consistent throughout the series. And I thought that particularly in Game 6, he kept them afloat while Jimmy Butler struggled for 3.5 quarters, if not a little bit more than 3.5 quarters. I thought in Game 7, you obviously saw what he was doing. I think you take those things into consideration and let the kind of impact. It wasn't just points that he was producing, JJ. It was that it was impactful. What he was doing at the time that he was doing it was very, very pivotal to the Miami Heat's success in this series. And that's the only reason. I'm not taking anything away. He did receive 4 of the 9 votes for MVP for the conference finals. Not taking anything away from Jimmy Butler whatsoever, particularly how he came alive in the last couple of minutes in Game 6 and clearly what he did last night. But I thought that Caleb Martin was consistent throughout the series, and I just thought that he deserved it.
Well, I think Jimmy Butler should have been the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. So, of course, I have no kind of credit. And he was also deserving of votes. Like, I don't have a problem with anyone voting for Caleb Martin. I just kind of want to say this. There's a difference between roles here.
Absolutely.
One guy is tasked with a lot of shot creation for himself and for the team. Jimmy does a little bit of everything on the court. You look at the counting stats. I know that you get into the inconsistency segment. The counting stats, 25 points, almost 8 rebounds, 6 assists, over 2 steals a game. Decent shooting percentages, obviously, that skewed a little bit because of that Game 6 performance. But he's asked to do so much.
Right.
Whereas Caleb Martin, with some timely shot making and, like you said, some consistency. Only one game in this series that he didn't score 15 points and shoot over 50% from the field. But it's a different role. And it reminds me, the conversation of this reminds me a little bit of 2015 in the NBA Finals. Because I've always said this, I always believe this. I think Steph Curry should have won the NBA Finals MVP that season. Obviously, it went to Iguodala.
Yes.
But it goes back to my superhero analogy, which is basically, the stars are Batman. You need a Robin, but you always need an Alfred. You need the guy in Batman Begins that's going to run into the burning building and save Bruce Wayne from the fiery beam that's on his chest and he can't get it off. And Caleb Martin was the perfect Alfred in this series. Just an absolute star in his role. But Jimmy Butler, to me, was still the MVP.
Well, let me throw it. I'm glad you brought up that analogy. I like it. I really do. I'm very proud of him. Yeah. I do like that analogy. Very
Who
good,
are you,
JJ.
Robin or Alfred? I was trying to figure it out.
Nobody's Robin. That's not me. That's not how
He's the Batman of the show.
Yeah, I try to be.
But
here's the deal. But now, seriously, I get where you're coming from. But what I'm saying is, in the moments when Alfred shows up, because Batman has it, you got to give it to Alfred, even though he's not Batman. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say. If Jimmy Butler, you think about the Game 6, he shoots 5 for 21. Game 5, he shot 5 for 10. 2 games before that, was it Game 3 or 4, he shot 5 for 13. There were games where he had some struggles. And I'm saying while he was having those struggles, Caleb Martin was not. And so when I look at it from that perspective, and I'm thinking about the level of consistency that he performed with, you've been around and you know this. There have been times when other people have gotten shined because they showed up big in a moment. And because of that, you know what, the sizzle, was, they grabbed a hold of it, and that was that. I'm saying throughout this series, Caleb Martin was the steady presence. There were times that we were asking ourselves, why are you not giving him the ball? Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, y'all ain't making shots. Find him. That brother right there is making it happen. Gabe Vincent goes down. Caleb Martin is still there. Jimmy Butler's not making shots. Caleb Martin is still there. Bam Adebayo froze up as far as I was concerned in Game 6. You know what? But what happens? Caleb Martin is still there. I'm saying the consistency with which he showed up in this series is what really does it for me. That not so much, we know that he's not Jimmy Butler, and we know that Jimmy Butler was asked to do more, but he kept him afloat. In that Game 6, when Jimmy Butler was struggling miserably, Caleb Martin was one of those people that was keeping Miami afloat and keeping Miami in position for Jimmy Butler to then turn it on and draw those fouls and get about 10 foul shots in the last 2+ minutes.
And look, and like I said, if Caleb Martin had won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, I'd be totally fine with that too, because he was deserving of it. And as Tim alluded to earlier in the show, it was, to your point about impact, the timely buckets last night specifically in Game 7 helped them get the lead in the first half.
Yep.
And then as they're coming back, hit just big shot after big shot in the second half.
They are a remarkable group. Is the question that many people are asking, and Han, I'll ask it to you. Is this the most improbable run to the finals of all time?
Improbable on many levels, yes, because of not just coming from an 8th seed, because we've seen that before, coming out of a play-in. They were really the 7th seed. Let's also keep that in mind, but they lost to be the 8th seed. But it's improbable because of how they're made up of undrafted players, unsung heroes. That's what makes this so improbable, because most teams that get this far are pretty loaded with talent, maybe underachieved. This team, they made this team, and this team, as far as development goes, undrafted players, as I mentioned, unsung heroes, that's what's been the story.
Absolutely. That, lest anyone does not remember, and obviously, Alan, you do, that 99 Knicks team that got in as an 8th seed, that was after the shortened season because of a work stoppage. They only had to win a best-of-5 in the first round against the Heat, who were the 1 seed that year. Not taking anything away from them.
And they had stars on that team.
And yes, this feels like a markedly different situation. So, Friedel, you've been around them. I mean, how do you explain it? How do you explain this Miami team, and can they possibly do it once more? The world will give them no chance. Just as it gave them no chance against Milwaukee and no chance against Boston, the world will give them no chance against Denver. Can they do it again?
Greedy, I've picked against them every time. So I say no, they can't do it again. And every time Jimmy Butler laughs in my face. So that's where I am as we get ready for the finals. But as far as the most improbable run, absolutely. I'm 39 years old. I've covered the league for 15 years. Never in my life have I seen a team turn things around this quickly. I covered that play-in game against the Hawks. Guys, they were terrible. Terrible. They were ready to just get pushed over. I thought they were going to get demolished by the Bucks. But it speaks to that culture down in Miami that is palpable, that the rest of the league always rolls their eyes at. That is the difference. And Alan mentioned all the different pieces in play. To me, this is the closest thing the NBA has to a college program. They identify guys they feel like will fit in their system. They let them grow within that system. They have talent, and then they have Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra to bring it all together. And that's the reason the Heat are where they are, and absolutely believe they can win a title now.
Let me put the picks up on the screen here if we can, Will. Just throw them up there and let's see what everybody thinks. And, Zach, I'll start with you. This is another series. The Knicks series felt like a little more of a toss-up. The other three, Milwaukee, they were a monstrous underdog. Boston, an enormous underdog. They will be again. And I see not one Miami Heat logo on our screen up there. Zach, give me the first quick look at the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets in the finals.
Yeah, there's can they win it? Can they pull off the improbable? And will they pull off the improbable? Can they? I'm not doubting the Heat. They can do anything. I'd believe anything at this point. This is the most improbable run to the finals in NBA history. There was no evidence that there was a great team hiding in plain sight here. There was no crescendo toward the end of the season. All they wanted to do was catch Brooklyn for the 6th seed to get out of the play-in tournament, and they couldn't even do that, and now here they are. But I'm going with the Nuggets. I think this is their time. They have home court. They're rested. They have an absolute matchup-proof superstar in Nikola Jokic. Enough shooting and passing around him that if the Heat go zone, they'll tear him apart. They were the best zone offense